Good morning and Jai Hind. In this video, I am going to start new chapter Direct and Indirect Speech. So, in English, there are two ways of conveying what someone else has said. The first one is direct speech, or we may say quoted speech, and the second one is indirect or reported speech. So let us see what is direct speech. This speech involves quoting the exact words uttered by the person, and it is to be inserted within inverted commas or quotation marks. As you can see in the example, Annie said, "I will be coming home tonight." So within inverted commas, "I will be coming home tonight." These are the exact words said by the Annie. And this is the direct speech. Next is indirect speech. In this, there is no need to write quotes within inverted commas, because here the exact words of the speaker are not quoted. And we can write the same example in indirect speech as, "She said that she would be coming home that night." And there is a full stop at the end. There are no quotation marks or inverted commas in the indirect speech. Now, let us understand how do we change the direct speech to the indirect speech. Okay, while using the reported speech, we are usually talking about the past. That means anything which has been happened in the past, we are referring that in the present. So the verb usually changes to the past tense in the reported speech. That means the verb in the reported speech, we need to change that into its past form. Suppose if there is am or is in the reporting speech of a sentence, of a statement, then while converting into indirect speech, this is or am is to be converted into was. Similarly, if there is are, that means if the sentence or speech is in present tense with a plural subject, then that is to be converted into where while converting into indirect speech. If there is has or have in a reporting speech, this means if a sentence is in present perfect, then this had to be converted into past perfect by adding had. If there is can or can't in a reporting speech, then it is to be converted into could or couldn't in the indirect speech. And if there is will or won't in a direct speech, then it is to be converted into would or wouldn't in the indirect speech. That means all the verbs had to be converted into their past forms while converting the statement into indirect speech. I have already told you that all the tenses of the direct speech changes into their past equivalent in the indirect speech. Suppose there is a tense, simple present tense in the direct speech, then it is to be converted into simple past tense in indirect one. If there is a present continuous tense in the direct speech, then it is to be converted into past continuous tense in indirect speech. If there is present perfect tense in a direct speech, then while converting into indirect one, the tense should be past perfect. If there is present perfect continuous in direct speech, then past perfect continuous is to be used in indirect speech. Suppose if there is past simple past tense in the direct speech, then it is to be converted into past perfect tense in indirect one. If past continuous is there, it is to be converted into past perfect continuous, and if there is future tense, then it is to be converted into would, or if there is future continuous, should be would be, or if there is future perfect, it should be would have in our indirect speech. Except tenses, the adverbs also changes while a statement is converted into direct to indirect speech. Here you can see the list where if there is today in the direct speech, it is to be converted into that day or the same day in the indirect speech. If tomorrow is written in a direct speech, then it is to be converted into the next day or the following day in the indirect speech. If there is yesterday in the direct speech, then the day before or the previous day is to be written in indirect speech. If there is next week or month or year, then it is to be converted into following week, month or year in an indirect speech. Last week, month or year is to be converted into previous week, month or year, and now or just indirect speech is to be converted into then, ago to be converted into before, here to be converted into there. This is to be converted into that in indirect speech.